metallic halls of the Galactic Defense Academy echoed with the thunderous voice of drill instructor Vextar, his forearms gesticulating wildly as he addressed the newest batch of recruits. His chitinous exoskeleton gleamed under the harsh fluorescent lights, and his compound eyes swept across the diverse assembly of species that had gathered from across the galaxy. "Listen up, maggots." Vextar's voice boomed through the training bay. "You think you're tough? You think your homeworld's prepared you for real combat?" He let out a sound that might have been laughter in his species. "We have simulations here that will break your spirits and send you crawling back to whatever comfortable rock you came from." Zeia Chen stood among the recruits, her human frame appearing deceptively fragile, next to the towering Croxian warriors and the crystalline beings from Zephyr Prime. At barely 5'6", with her dark hair pulled back in regulation style, she seemed unremarkable, but her brown eyes held a steely determination that had carried her from the slums of Neo-Shanghai to this elite academy. Beside her, her roommate Elsa Nordstrom shifted nervously. The blonde Swedish girl had excelled in theoretical xenobiology and tactical analysis, but the physical demands of the academy were clearly taking their toll. Her pale skin had grown even paler since their arrival 3 weeks ago. "The Kepler-7 jungle simulation," Vextar continued, "has a 60% completion rate. The Arcturus ice caves, 40%. The volcanic wastelands of Pyria, 20%. His mandibles clicked ominously. "But there's one simulation that has never been completed. Not once in the 200 years this academy has operated." The recruits exchanged glances. Zeia noticed how even the most arrogant among them, the Valdorian prince who claimed his species had conquered 14 star systems, seemed to shrink under Vextar's gaze. "The Earth simulation," Vextar announced, and Zeia felt her heart skip a beat. "Oh yes, we have one. Your pathetic little mudball of a planet, with its quaint gravity and laughable atmospheric composition. Seems simple enough, doesn't it?" Several alien recruits chuckled, their various forms of amusement filling the air with clicks, hums, and subsonic vibrations. Zeia clenched her fists but remained silent. "The simulation drops you into various scenarios from your species' history," Vextar explained, pacing before them with predatory grace. "Ancient Earth, medieval times, your world wars, natural disasters. Seems easy for a human, right? Wrong. The psychological pressure, the primitive technology, the sheer brutality of your species' past. It breaks minds. Even the humans who've attempted it." Zeia thought of her grandfather's stories about the Shanghai floods, how her great-grandmother had survived the climate wars with nothing but determination and a rusty knife. Her jaw tightened. "No recruit has ever passed the Earth simulation," Vextar declared with obvious satisfaction. "It remains our Academy's greatest unsolved challenge. Any human foolish enough to—" Zeia's hand shot up. The training bay fell silent. Every eye, optical sensor, and electromagnetic field detector turned toward her. Elsa grabbed her arm, whispering urgently in Swedish, but Zeia shook her off. Vextar's compound eyes focused on her with laser intensity. "What did you say, Recruit Chen?" "I didn't say anything, sir." Zeia's voice carried clearly through the silence. I raised my hand. "You want to attempt the Earth simulation?" Vextar's mandibles spread in what could only be described as a predatory grin. "You understand that failure means immediate expulsion from the Academy?" "I understand, sir." The drill instructor's laugh was like breaking glass. "Excellent. Report to Simulation Bay 7 at 800 tomorrow. The rest of you will observe and learn what happens when arrogance meets reality." That night, Elsa paced their small dormitory while Zeia methodically cleaned her service weapon, a standard plasma rifle that would be useless in the historical simulation. "This is madness, Zeia," Elsa said, switching between English and Swedish in her distress. "No one has ever passed it. Not even humans who know Earth's history." Zeia looked up from her weapon maintenance. "That's exactly why I have to try." "What do you mean?" "They look at us like we're weak," Zeia said quietly. "Like our planet is some backwater nothing. Like humanity is a joke." She set down the plasma rifle and met her friend's worried gaze. "But they don't understand us. They've never had to survive on Earth." The next morning, Simulation Bay 7 was packed with spectators. Word had spread throughout the academy that a human was attempting the impossible. Even some instructors had come to watch. Zeia entered the simulation pod, a sleek metal capsule that would read her neural patterns and create the most challenging Earth-based scenario possible. As the door sealed shut, she heard Vextar address the crowd. "The simulation will randomly select from Earth's most brutal historical scenarios," he announced. "Whatever it chooses will be projected for you to observe." The world went dark, then blazed with light. Zeia found herself standing in the ruins of Stalingrad, winter 1942. The simulation had chosen one of humanity's darkest hours. Snow fell through the skeletal remains of buildings, and the distant sound of artillery thundered through the frozen air. She wore the uniform of a Soviet soldier, complete with period-appropriate weapons. Her modern knowledge and training were intact, but she was limited to the technology and resources of the time. "Survive 72 hours, a mechanical voice announced. "Complete the mission parameters as they arise." As Zeia moved through the devastated city, she understood why the simulation was considered impossible. It wasn't just about survival, it was about maintaining humanity in the face of absolute horror. The AI created realistic civilians to protect, impossible tactical situations to navigate, and moral choices that had no clear answers. But Zeia had grown up in the aftermath of Earth's climate wars. Her grandmother had taught her to find protein in insects, to make weapons from scraps, to keep fighting when fighting seemed pointless. More importantly, she understood something the alien observers didn't. Humans were forged by this world. Every frozen breath, every impossible decision, every moment of desperation. This was what had made humanity strong enough to reach the stars. She watched from the academy as recruits pushed themselves beyond their limits. A species that had evolved in paradise struggled with the concept of enduring endless hardship for abstract principles like honor and hope. For 72 hours, Zeia lived through humanity's greatest test. She saved civilians under sniper fire, led desperate charges against impossible odds, and made the kind of moral choices that had defined her species' character. When the simulation ended, the bay was silent. Vextar stared at the readouts in disbelief. Completion rate 100%. Mission parameters exceeded. Status passed. Zeia emerged from the pod to stunned silence. Then Elsa began to clap, and slowly others joined in. First the human recruits, then others who had watched a member of the supposedly weak species demonstrate exactly why Earth had produced a people capable of reaching the stars. Vextar approached her, his entire demeanor changed. "How?" he asked simply. Zeia smiled, exhaustion evident in every line of her face. "You said no one had ever passed the Earth simulation. But sir, with respect, I'm from Earth. That wasn't a simulation for me. That was just Tuesday on my homeworld." The drill instructor's mandibles clicked in what she was beginning to recognize as respect. "Perhaps," he said quietly, "we need to recalibrate our understanding of what makes a species truly dangerous." As the recruits filed out, chattering excitedly in a dozen languages, Elsa fell into step beside Zeia. "So what now?" Zeia looked out through the Academy's massive viewports at the stars beyond. "Now we show them that Earth didn't just produce survivors. It produced explorers, protectors, and friends. But most importantly," she smiled grimly, "it produced humans who never give up." The Earth simulation would be retired the next day, replaced with scenarios from worlds that had never produced a species quite so stubbornly, brilliantly, impossibly resilient as the humans who now walked among the stars.